Hi, my name is John Petty, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Growing Up in Flip-Flops. My employment history has had ups and downs, unexpected turns, and I can tell you in a lot of ways, jobs that I've had throughout my life, I never could have planned that I was going to end up where I did, even despite my best intentions. But it all worked out. I will tell you that other than the summers that I spent in Middle Tennessee and Southeast Missouri, during summers when my mother shipped me off, probably starting around age 10 or so, up until I was, 14 or 15, I had jobs in our community working primarily on weekends or after school. The first job I had, and I wouldn't even describe it as a real paying job, and I'll bring it up later. I was a stamp collector, as a lot of young boys were at my age at that time, either stamps or coins. And there was a coin and stamp shop, probably about 4 or 5 blocks from our house. I went in and asked if they had any employment. And the guy looked at me, said, "Well, I really can't pay you anything." And this was working after schools or on a Saturday after I finished my chores. And I said, "Well, what can you pay me?" And he said, "I can pay you $25 a week, $5 in cash, and $20 in stamps." Well, since I didn't have any great expenses in the world, this sounded like a deal, and that I could improve my stamp collection. So when I finished a week's work, going and selecting $20 in mint stamps, and this is back when stamps were 3 and 5 cents for face value. To this day, I have a very, very nice stamp collection. And after I had cleaned up with all the current and a few years back, I started going back into the 1940s, into the 1930s, and collecting mint stamps. The work that I did was based on the place basically being, rather than walk-in traffic, they were doing a lot of mail order business. And so I was stuffing envelopes with stamps that they were mailing out. And I got to see an awful lot of stuff, and hey, that's a neat one. I think I'm going to put that toward next week's $20 paycheck. But that was a fun little job. Another job after I left that this was in a summer, and it was after my mother had stopped sending me off out of state, and probably she didn't have to take care of me. But there was a Rexall luncheonette in downtown, again, just a few blocks from our house. If you don't know, I mean, Rexall was another brand like CVS or Walgreens, but they almost invariably had a little luncheonette with a few booths and a counter service, just open basically for breakfast and lunch for people that worked in downtown, would just come from their offices and go over to the Rexall luncheonette. Very limited menu, had a grill cook back there making hamburgers and meatloaf, whatever. Well, the job I had at this place was as a dishwasher. It was never ending, going up, picking out the dishes, and then going back to a machine, loading the dishes in, and it was steam. I can tell you, taking those dishes out, because the owner or manager came and yelled at me that, I mean, these dishes were coming out scalding hot. I didn't have any gloves. And picking them up, they were extremely hot, to wipe them off, and I had to carry them out for the waitresses or the cook to plate up dishes to go to the customers. I had blisters on all 10 of my fingertips from this. I did not enjoy it. One memorable point was they needed more potato salad. Somebody needed it, and they yelled for me to go back in the cooler and get more potato salad. Well, I'm back there with this big spoon dolloping out potato salad from the thing to fill the thing to go back out so the waitresses can put potato salad on people's plates. And obviously, I wasn't going fast enough. The manager comes back there, starts yelling at me, "What are you doing? Whatever. You're going too slow." And I said, "What do you mean? Here I am with this big spoon, serving spoon." And he goes, "No, this is the way you do it." And with both hands, ungloved, whatever, God knows where he'd just been, those hands went into the potato salad, and he took out 2 giant handfuls of potato salad, dumped it into the serving bowl, picked up my apron, my dishwasher's apron that was around me, wiped his hands off, and then pointed and said, "Now get that out there." That was a moment that I realized I did not want to go into food service. And that was my last food service job ever. I have never worked in a restaurant or a McDonald's or anything, because that experience was enough for me. Whatever I was going to do, I wasn't going to work in another restaurant, and I haven't to this day. Fingers crossed saying that. But that was a experience that I did not want to repeat. Now going back to the stamp shop, a funny thing, when I turned 21, I took a job that had to have a security clearance, and they did a very, very extensive and expensive background check on me. They wanted me to go back 10 years in employment and list every place I lived. I had to go find addresses from apartments that I had in college, dorm addresses, everything. That's what they wanted. My boss, when I was filling this out, told me, "John, if you've committed murder, put down that you've committed murder, because it's going to be a whole lot easier to answer the question, why did you commit murder, as opposed to why didn't you tell us you committed murder? So put down everything. Don't leave out anything." Well, did this. They complete the background check, the whole thing, and you had to go in for a face-to-face interview. And they're going through my stuff, and there's nothing in there, whatever. And all of a sudden they said, "Why did you not tell us about working at," God knows what the name of it was, Sam's Stamp and Coin, in whatever year. I must have been 11 years old. I looked at the people and I said, I forgot. I completely forgot about having that job. How they found that I worked at this stamp and coin shop, I told them I earned $25 a week, 5 in cash, 20 in stamps. They had no other questions, but somehow in this background check, they found out I worked at this stamp and coin shop. And they asked me, "Well, what did you do there?" I was 11 years old. "You need this for a security clearance?" Wow. Anyway, that was my pre-serious employment background, but it just I had a couple experiences when I was young in employment in my downtown of my hometown that I've remembered and have definitely shaped what employment choices that I have made throughout my life. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this.